If you've ever played a video game, watched an action movie, or glanced at the news from, well, anywhere in the last 70 years, you know this rifle. It's been on flags, in the hands of revolutionaries, and on the evening news so often, it's practically a celebrity. But this isn't just any rifle. This is the Automat Kalashnikov model, 1947, the AK-47. It's the Nokia brick of the gun world, brutally simple, famously reliable, and found in every corner of the globe. But the AK-47 you see in grainy news footage today is not the same beast that was born in the ashes of World War II. This is the story of how a wounded tank sergeant's hospital bed idea evolved from a heavy steel brute into a modern, modular killing machine. This is the evolution of the Kalashnikov. Meet Mikhail Kalashnikov. Before he became a firearms legend, he was a poor farmer's son who was more interested in inventing better farm equipment. But history had other plans. Drafted into the Red Army in 1938, he wasn't an infantryman, he was a tank commander. And in 1941, during the brutal Battle of Bryansk, his T-34 tank was blasted by a German shell, leaving him with a shattered shoulder. As he lay in a crowded Soviet hospital for 6 months, he listened to his wounded comrades complain. They weren't just complaining about the food. They were complaining about their rifles. The Soviet Mosin Nagant was a bolt-action relic from the 19th century, while the Germans were fielding the revolutionary Sturmgewehr 44, the world's first true assault rifle. It was like showing up to a drag race with a horse and buggy. Kalashnikov, a self-taught tinkerer, decided he could do better. He famously said, "I created a weapon to defend the borders of my motherland. It is not my fault that it is now used in all sorts of places. I think the policies of politicians are more to blame." So from his hospital bed, he went from dreaming of tractors to designing the most effective man-portable weapon in human history. Type 1, and it was a beast. It was introduced for trials in 1947 and officially adopted in 1949. It fired the chunky 7.62 39mm round, had a cyclic rate of 600 rounds per minute, and featured a milled receiver. That means the core of the gun was carved out of a solid block of steel. It was heavy, tipping the scales at nearly 10 pounds loaded, and it was an absolute tank. The Soviets wanted a rifle that was simple enough for a barely literate conscript to use, and reliable enough to work in the frozen mud of a Siberian winter or the sandstorms of Central Asia. The AK-47 delivered. It had loose tolerances, which meant dirt and grime that would jam a finely tuned Western rifle would just get rattled out. Its first major public appearance was during the 1956 Hungarian Revolution, where Soviet troops used it to crush the uprising, and the world got its first terrifying look at this new weapon. That milled receiver, while absurdly strong, was a massive headache. It was slow, difficult, and expensive to manufacture. The Soviet Union had to arm not just itself, but the entire Warsaw Pact, and carving rifles out of steel blocks one by one wasn't going to cut it. The accountants were screaming. The AK-47 was a brilliant design, but it needed to be cheaper. It needed to go mainstream. This is the rifle you think of when you hear AK-47. The AKM, or modernized automatic Kalashnikov, is the most produced variant in the family, and it's the one that truly conquered the world. The biggest change was the switch to a stamped sheet metal receiver. Instead of milling, the receiver was now made from a 1mm thick sheet of steel, bent into shape and riveted together. This, along with other tweaks, dropped the weight down to a more manageable 7 pounds. It kept the 7.62 39mm cartridge, but added one of the most iconic features in firearm history, the slant brake. By 1959, the Cold War was in full swing. The AKM was designed for one thing: mass production. It was faster and cheaper to make, allowing the Soviets to churn them out by the millions and hand them out like candy to any country, army, or revolutionary group that leaned left. From Vietnam to Africa to the Middle East, the AKM became the symbol of anti-imperialist struggle and Cold War proxy wars. That little diagonal cut on the muzzle, the slant brake, looks like a factory mistake. But it's a piece of low-tech genius. When the gun fires, gases push against the brake's angled surface, nudging the barrel down and to the left. This perfectly counteracts the rifle's natural tendency to climb up and to the right during full auto fire. It's the gun equivalent of putting a spoiler on a Lada and having it actually improve the handling. This simple, cheap innovation made the lighter AKM just as controllable as its heavier predecessor. In the 1960s, the US military adopted the M16 and its tiny, high-velocity 5.50 square-centimeter round. The Soviets, seeing this, got a bad case of caliber envy. Their answer was the AK-74. The AK-74 switched to a new, smaller cartridge, the 5.45 39mm. This round was lighter, meaning soldiers could carry more ammo, and it had a much higher velocity, around 2,900 TCEs, versus the AKM's 2350 RFT. The most recognizable feature is its massive cylindrical muzzle brake, designed to tame the recoil of this zippy new round. The AK-74 was the Soviet Union's answer to the M16. It made its bloody debut in the Soviet-Afghan War in 1979. The Afghan Mujahideen, who were on the receiving end, nicknamed the 545mm bullet the poison bullet because of the nasty wounds it created. The CIA was so desperate to get their hands on one that they reportedly paid $5,000 for the first AK-74 captured by the Mujahideen. While the rifle was a success, its most famous variant is the AKS-74U, or Krinkov. This short-barreled carbine was designed for vehicle crews and special forces. It was loud, flashy, and spat out massive fireballs. It became a status symbol, famously carried by Soviet officers, helicopter pilots, and even Osama bin Laden in his early videos. It was the original truck gun, a compact package of pure Soviet firepower. The fall of the Soviet Union didn't kill the Kalashnikov, it just forced it to get a job in the global marketplace. The AK-100 series, introduced in the 1990s, was basically the AK-74M, a modernized version with a folding polymer stock, adapted for export. Want an AK that fires the same 5.536mm ammo as NATO? Get the AK-101. Feeling nostalgic for the classic 7.62 39mm? The AK-103 is for you. The 100 series was the Kalashnikov platform going global and modular, offering different calibers and barrel lengths for any customer with cash. Then came the 21st century. The Russian military realized their stockpiles of AK-74s were getting old. They needed a rifle for the modern soldier, one that could mount scopes, lasers, and all the other high-tech toys. After a decade of development hell, they got the AK-12. Adopted in 2018, the AK-12 is the fifth-generation Kalashnikov. It features an integrated Picatinny rail on a redesigned, more stable dust cover, finally solving the AK's biggest weakness: mounting optics. It has an adjustable stock, better ergonomics, and a 2-round burst mode. It comes in two main flavors, the AK-12 in 5.45 meters, and the AK-15 in the classic 7.62 meters. The AK-12 is Russia's attempt to bring its legendary rifle into the 21st century. It's the standard issue rifle for the Russian armed forces and has been seen extensively in the Syrian civil war, and most notably the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, where it's going head-to-head with Western-supplied rifles. For all its modern furniture, the heart of the AK-12 is still pure Kalashnikov. It uses the same long-stroke gas piston system that Mikhail designed in his hospital bed over 75 years ago. It's a testament to the design's genius that even in the age of drones and cyber warfare, the core principle of the AK, unshakable reliability, remains the foundation of Russia's primary infantry weapon. It's a 1947 Sol in a 2025 body, from a heavy milled steel rifle forged in the Soviet Union to a modular rail-equipped weapon fighting on modern battlefields. The Kalashnikov has never stopped evolving. It's a design that has outlasted the country that created it, a symbol of ingenuity born from conflict. Some argue that its simplicity is its greatest strength, while others claim it's a relic of a bygone era. But one thing is certain. For over 75 years, the AK has been the undisputed king. What do you think? Is the Kalashnikov platform still relevant in 2025, or is it finally time for this old soldier to retire? Let us know in the comments below.